This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning to a stunning sunrise here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. We are sitting in beautiful South Africa and just appreciating a bit of the golden glow up on quarantine this morning. It seems it's going to be a stunning day and we're very excited to see what we can find for you this morning. My name is Tessa, I'm going to be your guide on safari. Behind the camera is Owen. And we have got some very exciting plans for the morning, starting with our beautiful sunrise. And from here, we're actually going to be heading towards Vuyatela Dam and to see if we can find the Nkuhuma Pride after we had them last night. But it's always a good idea to start the morning with a stunning view. And that's exactly what we've done this morning. You can hear there's a few birds chirping away. There is absolutely no breeze. And it's nice and warm this morning. We've got jackets on because it's a crisp morning, but it's around 20 degrees Celsius already, and it's going to be a hot day. Hi Shantae, all of us safari bumblers are really excited to see what we can find for you this morning. Thank you for your comment. And speaking of, if anybody has got any comments or questions, please get hold of us. We would love to hear from you. You can find us at #WildEarth on Twitter. If you're under the age of 18, you can pop us an email on kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Or you can register on the WildEarth website, head over to the live safari page and submit your questions there, the channel page, and we will be waiting to hear from you. They have actually said that we might get some rain sometime today, but at the moment we've actually got a mostly clear sky, and so we're taking advantage of that by sitting out in the open and watching this gorgeous sunrise. You can see there are a few clouds building in the distance, but at the moment it seems like it's going to be an absolutely brilliant morning. We have actually heard one or two elephants, so I'm hoping we get to find those for you in the area. I think they're probably moving through the seep line at the moment. But for now, we just can't pull ourselves away from the sunrise. I nearly called it a sunset. So while myself and Owen take this in, let's have a look at what our weather is doing for the morning. Quite a difficult sunrise to leave. It is so golden. We've had so much cloud cover the last few days that we haven't had a brilliant sunrise where you can see it coming up behind the trees of quarantine. But I do want to head out and see what I can find for you this morning. And the first plan is, because there are a lot of marula trees around, and we heard some elephants, I want to see if we can quickly find those. And then from here, I'm going to be heading towards Mvubu Road, which is the road where I found the lions last night. And I'm going to track them from there, where I last left them, going down Central Road. You never know what we will find. anticipation of finding elephants. Oh, I can see some tracks in the road. Looks like we might have crossed. Yeah, definitely looks like we've crossed. Waikisha, it was a beautiful and peaceful sunrise, absolutely. It's always very interesting to see how fast the colors change. For me, I could sit and watch it as the colors change right until the point where it goes bright and blue. Because the colors change so quickly. We start with that brilliant orange and then it goes to golden and then more towards the yellow that we know. I think these elephants have come down towards the drainage line here. Luckily, that was actually already part of my plan to go this way towards Mvubu Road, so maybe I will find them. I wonder if there's maybe a herd around with some elephant bulls following. It would be brilliant to see some calves and then some big bulls. Oh, it is a perfect morning. And with the nice cool weather that we had during the night, it was actually one of the most crisp nights that we've had, one of the coolest nights we've had. It's actually great because it means that we're going to find probably a few more tracks this morning because animals would have been moving. I was very surprised to find the Nkuhumas moving so early last night. Normally they're still quite flat for quite a long time. Good morning, Impala. How are you? Standing in the middle of the road, and I'm actually not surprised that he is a little bit nervous and moved straight away because I'm sure he can smell the lions around here. Very strange that he's on his own. But shame, you can see how alert he's looking. Those ears are moving, the eyes are moving. He is sniffing the air as well. And you can imagine being on his own is a little bit of a danger because he doesn't have the protection of multiple ears, eyes and noses. Also doesn't have the protection of numbers in the sense that if there's many of you, there's less chance that you yourself will get taken. But where he is at the moment is really not very far from where lions were last night, so I'm sure he can still smell them. But have a look at how that golden light is just touching some of the curve of his horn. And then on the top, it's actually still in the shade, so it looks a lot darker. But it's catching the ridges as they come up from his head. The thickest part of the horn. So you can really see how ridged the horn actually is, that pattern as it's going up. And this is quite important for strength. He'll use that for fighting. And you can see now in that light, that ridge, it's almost like a twist. Goes all the way up to the top of the horn. And this gives him the ability to keep his horns growing continually, but also keep them strong. I wonder what he's going to do for the morning. So although it's not the greatest view of him, oh, he heard me. I do want to just watch for a little bit in case we can hear any more sounds of those elephants in the drainage line. Or any indications that there might be other animals around as well. Let me maybe just move a little bit forward. I can hear a wildebeest in the background. Sounds like it's up on quarantine though, and I think he heard it as well. Yeah, definitely wildebeest. I'm going to try and move. I'm hoping that it doesn't scare him off. Let's see if we can get a slightly better angle on him in the sun. Very well hidden this morning. Oh, there we go. That's beautiful. Hello, boy. You are looking so good. Right, Let's watch what he does from here. That wildebeest caught his attention. You can see those ears are moving as much as he's listening. We are trying to listen as well. You can see he keeps scanning backwards with one ear and keeping one forwards pointed towards quarantine. I'm wondering how he got separated from his bachelor herd. Possibly the scent of the lions made them run and panic a little bit last night, or maybe they interacted with the predator somewhere. But I'm sure for the morning he's actually going to try and make his way back towards quarantine so that it's open and safe.
Good morning and welcome to Eco Training Pridelands. We've already located on our big male lion that we found last night and one of the females from the pride. At first we thought it might be the single female, which is known as Lagerfur. However, her nose is much darker compared to Lagerfur that's got more pink, which generally indicates a very young lion. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Darby. Let's see what our lion's getting up to. A few moments ago, we did see that he was actually smelling where she was urinating, as well as trying to determine if she's actually in a reproductive condition. She also very briefly just walked in front of him, wagged a little tail in front of his face, and then went to go lie down. It's possible that she's an estrus. Let's see. Hopefully they are going to start mating, because it's pretty impressive watching lions mating. And if they are, then I'll tell you a little bit more about what they're getting up to. Meanwhile, let's enjoy this silent moment and just listen to the sounds in the background. Good morning, Austin, and welcome to the show. Yes, it's a very good start for the morning. Good morning, Nathan, and welcome to the show, and thank you so much. We've just been very lucky now in the last 2 months now that the big pride of lions have started coming more and more often into the Pridelands part of the reserve. And one of the reasons is most likely is that the cubs are now slightly larger and that they actually are less vulnerable to attack from hyena when they were left unattended. And that's why they probably were most of the time than some of the other properties. We also see with the hyenas at the moment, they too have their own little issues with one another. And it seems that there's a number of hyena cubs that's been eliminated by one another in the last few weeks now. It's going to be interesting to see how all these dynamics start panning out. But I'm glad that the lions are more often on our side now. If we do take into consideration the size of Pridelands, it's only some 5,000 hectares, which is actually a small part of what a normal territory would consist of. And most likely, if this male can operate within approximately a 40 square kilometer territorial area that the male can potentially cover. The name of the pride is Ngati Pride. Sorry, I didn't get the viewer's name. Anyway, good morning and welcome to the show. And Ngati is just an area that's further up into the west on Pridelands, and that's where they were seen the first time. So therefore they named after the specific area. Well, we watch our lions. Let's go and see what Tess is up to.
What a brilliant start to the morning already. Some lions. I am still on the search for my elephants. I've just crossed over the drainage line. I can see a patch where they started digging to find some water, but it looks like it's tracks of a herd. And so they might have already moved fairly far, but I can see that's actually a nice little fresh pile of dung from a calf. So this is telling me it definitely is a herd. You can see in the road there's some footprints and then a pile of dung that's very fresh. And the balls are quite small, I'd say just bigger than my fist. So it's from a young elephant, and you can see where they've walked off the track going from there. So I'm on the right trail. You just need to try and find them. And we're seeing all the fresh signs, bits of grass that have been strewn across the road, fresh dung, footprints, where they've been digging, walking through the grass. You can imagine, with all the dew the grass is holding at the moment, it's quite wet. So when something as big as an elephant walks, it leaves a very clear trail through the grass of where it's gone, and you can see the direction from where the grass is flattened downwards. And it looks like they're going all the way across Mvubu Road, although it looks like some may have come down as well. So I think the herd actually splits. Do you think you can get that, Odie? It's quite difficult to represent it on camera, but you can see in the middle of this patch of grass there's a path going right through like that. That's quite fresh. That's from elephants stepping with their big feet all the way through, and it actually looks like the direction from these is towards the dam. So possibly the elephants have split. Definitely worthwhile still looking, because if they are going towards the dam, maybe they're just in the little intermediate drainage line, and they might pop up at the dam by the time we get down that way. I'm hoping we get to see some elephant calves from the size of the dung. Looks like we might if we find the herd. I'm just taking it nice and slow, making sure where they've crossed, so we can find them. You would think, being the largest mammal out here, that they would be easy to find, but when it's very thick, and bearing in mind elephants aren't territorial, they move wherever they need to go for the resource they need, they're actually really tough to find. You can see their tracks, but they might have left and already moved a few kilometers from where we heard them just in that short space of time. Because if they do want to move very fast, they will. More fresh dung. Yay. Yeah, that is still very fresh. So you'll probably find at the same time that we are following the signs of this herd, there might actually be a few bulls that would be following in the distance, a little bit behind, which is very typical if you've got a breeding herd. They want to be close behind to smell if there's females in estrus. And so you'll find sometimes a bachelor herd that's following behind, and they might still be coming towards quarantine, that kind of distance, a kilometer or two away. Austin, I'm hoping they're at the dam. That would be so lovely to start the morning with some elephants drinking peacefully at the water's edge. And it certainly looks like they are headed that way. You can see some more dung in the road. I am going through a dip, so it is possibly going to lose signal for 2 seconds and then I'll be back. So be patient with me if I do anything weird, if there's no signal. This is my favorite drainage line on this road, all of the Tamboti thickets. And recently, in fact my last stint when I was working with Rexon, I was lucky enough to see an elephant push a tree right over that drainage line. Come on, elephants. So this is actually the exact point where I found the Nkuhuma Pride last night, and they were going straight down towards Central Road. So as soon as I've checked the dam, that is going to be my plan of action. Straight down Central Road to see where their tracks turn off so we can try and figure out where they may have ended up. I don't see any elephants on the edge of the dam, but it is quite thick. So I'm going to go around to the dam wall. They may have already moved off from here as well. They may have even all together. If they had a drink, they need to come and get more. They might just pass by, take advantage of the greener vegetation, and then carry on moving. But we will see. We will see. We've already got a few more clouds building. More than we had when we left. Oh, hello, lion tracks from last night. That is what I will be following. So a quick look from the dam wall. Let's see what we've got. So what we often find is when the elephants come to the dam, they actually dip into the drainage line on the side and disappear sometimes because it's nice and thick and they know it's going to be quite a hot day. And so oftentimes that is what happens. So while I'm sitting here, I do want to have a listen towards the drainage line as well. But it looks like no elephants at the dam. Beautiful clean reflection though. And a surprise, it looks like 2 hippos. Now, the last time I was here we had an interaction between 2 bulls, and I'm wondering if that might be starting to happen again. I can only see the one at the moment, the other one's just gone under the water. Have a listen to all of those birds as well.
Station, flying in a mobile.
Good morning, Lion. She's telling all of us on the radio that she is out and about. And I wonder if it's most likely 2 males again having a bit of an interaction. They're looking quite calm at the moment though. I don't think there'll be very much action just yet, and I still haven't found my elephants, so I'm going to carry on down Central Road towards those drainage lines, see what I can find. Let's head over to JP with his lines.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're still with our male lion and single lioness. Just moving through the thicket now, and I don't think he's going to try and want to leave her. At this moment you can see him actually rubbing the face against the tree again. He's most likely going to spray urine as one of his advertisements to maintain his territory. So we suspect that she might be an estrus, and generally what we find on the first day that the males start detecting a female in estrus, they'll hang around with her and then mate with her. And at that point, we find that the barb tip of the penis on the males will then create a prickle of pain, which will bring the female into full estrus. And then normally what we see is over the next 2, 3, 4 days that he'll continuously be mating with her at intervals of approximately some 15 minutes. Quite often, by day 2, these males are actually shooting blanks, but they will stick with that female just to prevent any other male from mating with her. I think I can see a third lioness now directly in front of us. We might actually be locating the rest of the pride. Let's go and see what we can find. I'm just going to turn the vehicle a little bit like this. Let's see what's happening. Our baboons is definitely not happy. It seems that there's actually more lions. I can see more movement in the bush. And 2 lionesses now greeting one another. There's a little phlegm grimace that he performed there, which is one of the ways that they actually will test if a female is an estrus. And basically what they do is sample some urine and then they curl back the lip. And there's a special organ, the monoracial organ, that will then analyze that scent. It seems that we've also at least got 2 small cubs around here and our 2 females. Interesting is that there's a little Natal spurfowl sitting up in the tree, just some 3 meters away from them. I don't know if we can see him there, but generally when they do see the lions, they create a big raucous. In this case, he hasn't really helped us in terms of locating them, but he's rather off the ground, or he's safe. I know that the lions can't harm him. Sorry, my apologies. I had to quickly take my foot off the brake there. Okay, now it seems that they're going to go and rest again.
So we've got quite a dramatic skyline as the clouds are building. But what we actually noticed up in the dead tree is a pair of Wahlberg's eagles, and one of them is the pale morph, sitting right at the top, dark one at the bottom. And we're seeing such a gorgeous silhouette at the moment with a little crest, the way that this Wahlberg's eagle is sitting. You can hear some arrow-marked babblers as well. That's quite a loud noise happening in the brush. And what I think is just so stunning is as it turns its head like that, you can see the shape of the beak with those clouds moving very fast behind. And I just want to sit here for a little bit and just appreciate such a brilliant predator and take in some of those sounds. We are close to the drainage line, so you can hear quite a few different birds calling. So this is the darker of the two. And this is a monogamous pair that actually live around here, very close to Gowrie Dam. But just have a look at those clouds moving at speed behind them. Very dramatic skyline. Something has caught its attention. It's looking down on the other side. Maybe something like a mouse or a snake moving through the grass this morning. Potential food source. Absolutely stunning.
Good morning everyone, and welcome to Wendy. We are finally out and about. My name is Lauren. I do have Gert on camera this morning. We had a few tech issues, but we're out. I've got lots of updates for you. It's been a rather exciting morning. We no longer have a monitor, but at least I have a spotlight. Maybe you can't have everything in life, and that's fine. As we were fixing our tech problems, Indabelle walked right up to the car. She walked in the car and just looked at me as if to say, why are you guys not at the den? We're waiting on you. Where are you? Anyway, and in another hyena, I'm pretty sure it was Swazi. I didn't get a good look at it. And they were hunting on quarantine. You could hear the wildebeest, you could hear the impala, everyone going crazy. So we decided to walk up and just stand behind the sign. You can just see them running across the long grass on quarantine trying to catch an impala. I don't believe we got anything, but it's amazing to see that pair hunt again, because I've actually had a sighting with them hunting before on quarantine. And they caught, was it a wildebeest calf or was it an impala? I can't remember. And they took it into the drainage. And it's amazing to see them hunt. And their brother and sister, and just that sort of level of instinct that they are. So we are, of course, now heading to the hyena den, naturally. But it's good to be out and about. It's just going to be a spectacular morning. It's chilly. I have a funny feeling today. But let's see. It was fantastic to see Shadulu yesterday.
So I am at the exact position where I turned around last night and left the lions walking down Central Road. So I've just crossed that drainage line, the rocky drainage line. And from here I'm looking to see where the lions may have turned off. I think they would have walked on the road for quite a distance, trying to avoid all of the parasites and things that they would get walking through the grass, but also path of least resistance. If they carry on going this way and use one of the roads straight south, they'll end up back in the center of their territory fairly quickly. And I think that was definitely their plan. I can still see the tracks going on the road with the hyena tracks on top. There are definitely still some lion tracks. Sydney, a lot of animals will benefit from the wet grass. Even things like lions and leopards, when they walk through the wet grass and groom themselves, they're actually taking in a bit of water. But some animals actually don't benefit. So animals like the ground birds, especially the smaller ones, francolins, spurfowls, they unfortunately will get very, very wet. And what that does is it kind of weighs their feathers down, and it means that they might not be able to fly as effectively or as efficiently. So some of the smaller things that will have to walk through that grass definitely won't benefit from the wet grass. But the bigger animals, some of them enjoy it, some of them don't like it so much. The cats don't really like to get wet. So you'll often find them on the roads if it's a very cold morning where you've got a bit of dew. I can still see the tracks on the road. Luckily this section is fairly sandy, so I am seeing the tracks in front of me. But for taller things, I suppose like giraffes, they wouldn't actually be fazed by it at all because it's just wetting their ankles really. And elephants as well. But even with the dew, if elephants are eating that grass, then they would also be benefiting from some of the water intake. You can still see the hyena tracks on top as well. It was actually a very special moment last night, seeing all of them just walking straight past us, carrying on down the road. Definitely the furthest north I've seen the Nkuhumas in their territory. I know that this used to be their territory, and then there was a bit of an overlap with the Talamatis. But the furthest north I'd seen them before this was actually on Elephant Carcass, which is it's along one of the drainage lines just north of Twin Dams. So it's very interesting to see them up here, but I think they were following the scent of those buffaloes, and the Talamatis with buffalo kills makes it very enticing. Yep, still carried on straight. So they skipped Vulture's Nest. I'm wondering if they maybe used Nyala Road, one of my favorite roads. You probably found they were also looking for some drainage lines because they were looking like they needed a meal and they would be moving to find that. I'm wondering if they maybe went towards the drainage line to see if there's anything down there during the night. So we are taking it very nice and slow, just so that we're not missing anything. Well, the way that they were moving last night kind of gave me the impression that they were going to be moving for quite a while. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if we could track them all the way down towards the southern boundary and over. But speaking of tracking lines and being with them, let's head over to JP, who is still with his lines.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. Our lionesses and cubs have now given us a slip, but we're still with our big male. I'm not really too much concerned. We'll find them very soon because he'll most likely lead us straight towards them. He's already started yawning, and we're just going to watch him because generally when they start yawning, they want to get oxygen into their muscles. And generally there's a few yawns and sometimes a little stretch when they get up, and then they move off. Here we go. I'm just going to quickly reposition and see if we can get another view on him. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, the reason why it's so easy for this male to follow the females is because of the interdigital scent glands that secretes a scent that will create Good morning, Selena, and welcome to the show. Yes, lions can sneeze, and sometimes you'll see that there's flies going up into their nose. Oh, here we are. Here's the rest of them. I'm just going to move quickly to the side here. Just give them a little bit of space, and then we're going to stop. And when those flies start tickling them inside the nose, they can very quickly sneeze. Sometimes you'll just see them smelling something, and then they can also sneeze. We're just going to sit and watch him, and at the same time just let's listen to all the different sounds in the background. Some of them are spurfowls, as well as a Birchall's cuckoo, which is busy calling. And then there's also a few calls of emerald spotted wood doves that you might hear in the background. The first lioness that we saw, actually the stomach was full. Now that we're looking at this one, the stomach is empty. A very good chance that they actually did have something to eat last night. Little cubs' bellies are still also empty. I wonder if the rest of the group maybe didn't try and break away and actually try and make a hunt. I'm not sure where they are. We will go and follow up a little bit later and see if we can find any of their tracks. We can just hear one of the lionesses now contact calling over there, most likely looking for the rest of the group.
We're just trying to get updates from the Eastern Channel. So I think I'm just going to stop here. This is one of my favorite roads actually. Leadwood Road. And it's called Leadwood Road because of that big dead leadwood. So we are just going to sit for a moment and just listen to the sounds of the morning. You never know who might be calling.
Relocate, no visual yet. You can still see the busy. Yeah, FM the Missy is still here. Okay. Yeah, go. Morning, Joseph. Where are you? I'm on vessels and off man cut line south of the vessel camp. Are you coming towards Bulgaria at all? Yes, I do.
Isn't it so pretty to just sit here for a moment or two?
I've just heard Ingwe audio. It's difficult to tell how far it is, but I would guess from the kayak.
We're just sitting listening to the radio, everyone. There definitely is activity on Little Gowrie. Ingwe and Misi. I don't think it's too far away because we're picking up radio comms really well. I just wanted to find out what was actually going on. Okay, let's bumble Leadwood for now. Once they establish the sighting, we'll see what we can do. Magic powers. I don't know where you lost me earlier. I'm afraid I was giving you an update. I believe we had a bit of a signal crash. I don't actually know what I was saying, but the hyena den is not active, sadly. Swazi and Indabelli are terrorizing Impala somewhere, and no one is at the den. I think I'm going to work the southeast corner for now, maybe dip into Chitwa.
Sama little just DC Kujanyama or little Gari power line. And the Yemba Audio 47 area.
Okay, a hyena stole a leopard kill. It fell on the ground and the hyena got it. But I don't know where the leopard is. But if they find her, we'll see what we can do. It's always best to check your own property first. We sort of have a policy here about doing that. Check your own property, cover bases, and then move into others. I mean, we only have Chitwa right now, but you know what I mean. I will make it my mission to check the Zoe's hyena den today as well. That's the one that's pending. And I will absolutely do that. Did you catch that name? Didn't catch that name, I'm afraid. You're saying you wonder if the hyena stole Shadulu's kill. CB, I'm not aware Shadulu has a kill. I don't think so. I don't think the hyenas will have stolen Shadulu's kill. Shadulu didn't go into Little Gowrie last night. She crossed very far west into Arathusa. So I'm not sure if... I don't know if Shadulu has a kill, I'm afraid. I think on Little Gowrie it's 100% not Shadulu. But I'll get the information. It's hard to tune into the radio, especially the Eastern Channel. It's very, very noisy. Shadulu didn't have a kill yesterday. She was on territorial patrol and she crossed really west back into Arathusa. Wrong direction, I'm afraid. I still didn't get an update on Tandy and Mareebs. The last I know they were on vessels.
The block here between power line and Little Gowrie Old Driveway. Tucson. Let me know if you do see line.
But I'd imagine they would come back north, so I think it's worth also scratching around for that pair. Or maybe even going a little bit east and trying to see if we can get Kuchava. It's on my bucket list of this stint to find Kuchava and daughter. I've yet to meet. I've seen her, but not live, unfortunately. But I'd love to actually spend time with her. Apparently, I'm sending you over to Lauren on a bumble.
So Owen and I, it seems, have some very similar tastes in our favorite roads. So we're actually on Nyala Road South, which is where the lion tracks have come down. And it is one of our favorite roads for both of us. And it seems like the lion tracks have cut off towards Vulture's Nest, but what we are noticing is that there's a lot of fresh signs of buffalo. So there's fresh urine here, still wet, very fresh dung. And there was a flattened patch of grass where the buffaloes had moved through from east to west, and that's exactly where those lines have cut off. So we're actually going to do a loop around towards Vulture's Nest, but you can see still very, very, very fresh, and the tracks are, honestly, feels like almost still warm. So we do actually want to just head around and check Vulture's Nest very quickly, because the tracks of the lions are going that way. I think they've been following this herd of buffalo. It looks like everybody's going towards the drainage line, so it might be a good idea for me to just go around and check there. I got very excited when I saw the tracks come down Nyala Road South, because this is one of both of our favorite roads. This and Mamba Loop, Mamba Link and Mamba Road. Very similar tastes, all of the slightly more wooded sections with a little bit of Tamboti forest next to a drainage line. Stunning. So I'm actually just about to arrive at the junction, and I just want to check the junction to see if the lions have come down Vulture's Nest, or if they've not come up yet. Then I'll have to go up the road and have a look there. But this section is particularly good because there's a lot of little plant systems, nice hiding spots, and the drainage lines. Chris Rogue, I really hope I find lions on a kill as well. I've had some very good luck tracking the lions the last 2 days, so I feel like I'm hot on the trail. And I just want to check this junction. It doesn't look like much of a junction, but I promise you it is. It's just a bit overgrown. I just want to check a little bit down before I turn up, because the drainage line is just in front of me now. So they might have crossed over there instead of coming down the road. I just want to have a look. We've got elephant tracks, some hyena tracks. No lion tracks. I just want to check the dip, the crossing, and then I'm going to come back up Vulture's Nest if there's no sign of them here. Oh, how exciting would it be to find lions on a kill in the drainage line. Oh, especially the Nkuhumas after last night. It definitely looks like they need the meal. They need the meal. Hoping I don't lose signal in the dip. Oh, it is so thick in here. It is also so beautiful in here. This is quite a big sandy junction, and it's quite a few junctions of different roads at the same time. I definitely don't see any lion tracks there, but let's check here in the sand. Just hyena tracks. Lots and lots of hyena tracks. Alright, I need to go and do Vulture's Nest and see. Maybe they've crossed over the drainage line a little bit further up. And if they have, then I can just loop around towards Twin Dams Road. So what I'm doing, reversing, is I don't want to off-road by turning the vehicle close to the drainage line. You can damage quite a lot of the plants and soil, because it's a natural erosion area as the water comes down towards the drainage line. So I'd rather use an existing track by reversing a little bit further. Alright, let's give Vulture's Nest a go. I have a feeling the lions are somewhere in the drainage line here. I don't think they've crossed over yet. I hope, fingers crossed, I hope. I can hear some bee-eaters in the distance. Stunning. Okay, Vulture's Nest, here we go. Doing a bit of a zigzag this morning, following these tracks. Ooh, grass seeds to the face. There's a hyena track. So I've been very impressed. Some of the hyena tracks on Djuma are almost the size of lion tracks. They are massive. They've got a very different shape. So with the lion it's quite rounded and the toes are quite spread out. With the hyenas it's slightly more angular. It's long and thin, almost like a rectangle. And they've got a bit of a kidney shape to the toe as well. But the size of some of these tracks is unbelievable. I'm seeing a few hyena tracks here. No lion tracks yet. They crossed a little bit further north, so I'll be checking along here for that. Oh, well, that certainly doesn't make it easy. We've got very hard soil. Still hyena tracks, no lion tracks. So the nice thing is, in the sandy patches that we do get, the break from the very hard soil, we should be able to see quite clearly if there are lion tracks, because they'd be on top of the vehicle tracks. Nobody has done this road this morning. And so far all I can see is some hyena tracks. Maybe they're also looking for the lions. We will see how it goes. Wish me luck, everybody. I am getting quite close to the area where those buffaloes look like they moved through and the lions turned off from Yala Road towards here. So what I want to do is actually sit and listen for a little bit, just in case we can hear any signs of either the buffalo or the lions or both. And all I'm seeing is still hyena tracks, so I'm going to stop up here and see if we can have a listen. Yeah, still hyena tracks. Okay, let's have a listen from here. So I'm right next to the drainage line, and I just want to take a minute just to use my other senses, because oftentimes you'll hear them before you see them. Beautiful dawn chorus happening at the moment. A lot of different birds calling from around here. Kingfishers, priniers, a whole lot of different birds, but what I'm actually listening for is alarm calling. And there's a beautiful torchwood tree. I'm also listening for sounds of feeding, any interactive sounds between lions and hyenas or just lions, oxpeckers or buffaloes. I'm not hearing anything yet, but I am going to spend just a few more minutes here to see what happens.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're still with our lions, and the majority of them is all sleeping at the moment. And that's pretty much what lions do their best, is conserve as much possible energy as they can by means of rest. And especially so on incredibly warm days. And you sometimes will find that they can sleep some 19 to 21 hours. It means that they're roughly active for some 4 to 5 hours of a day. And those activities might include feeding, hunting, as well as other social interactions with lions. We also find that that strategy of conserving energy and the heat of the day is where most of their hunts is actually taking place at night. And I reckon that 96% of all hunts actually take place at night. And a few occasions we've actually seen them actually hunting during the daytime, and it seems to always be in winter. Either if something does blunder and by accident, they're definitely going to take the opportunity to make a hunt. Although they are appearing to be fast asleep, they can very rapidly jump up and straight be focused on whatever comes their way. A few things that I do also find particularly interesting about the behavior of lions when it comes to this time of the day is that if it does become overcast as the weather is now, that they are likely going to start moving again. And generally when it's warm days and they've now gone to lie down, we know that there's a very good chance that we're going to relocate them precisely on the same spot again in the later part of the afternoon when we go out on our drive. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hopefully they will stay on Pridelands and not move off. Seems that our one lioness went up there to go and scratch on the side of a tree. As yesterday I mentioned that also releases chemicals onto a tree. We also noticed that she was rubbing her face, as well as that she's busy feeding on grass every now and then as well, which might be to actually to make her sick. Quite often if there's digestive problems, they'll start feeding on grass. Just busy smelling everything, going through a social media page and smelling all the different smells of different animals, as well as what lions have most likely posted there. Let's now gone over to the other one. We'll often see there's a lot of interactions where they groom one another, and they often do this in return to one another as well. I just want to see what she's going to do.
We can hear, or we heard, sorry, leopard audio sawing just in this area. But sadly, it is Little Gowrie. It's very close to the Chitwa boundary. So we sort of hung around. It also helps the other properties if we do see people come, but no luck, I'm afraid. Standing by.
I think it's a Molly look for you as a third vehicle.
Thank you so much. I'm on Gowrie Main. So I don't know how to get that. I think there's 2 leopards on Little Gowrie. Don't know where they are, I'm afraid, but we could hear it. We could hear that sound. Anyway, the Talamatis have been found again. I think yesterday they actually went west from where Tessa had them in the morning. They went into sort of Simba, Arathusa side, and they popped back out again just opposite Arathusa. Not far from where we left Shadulu yesterday. And obviously the Inkahumas were also in the area with Tessa last night. So we're going to slowly bumble west, but it's chilly. And finally get to sit with the Talamatis. But they are on Triple M, and well, access road sightings can be extremely tricky. We're making our way there now. Considering my first maybe 15 days here, I didn't have any lions around, and everybody's back in town. You gotta love it. I actually don't know if I can brace this cold any longer. Sorry, you will need to repeat that question one more time again. Our comms are not good today. Okay, I'm gonna put the foot down now and just embrace the cold, and we'll get to Triple M. We're in the lineup. Now and just embrace the cold, and we'll get to Triple M because we're in the lineup. Once you got a spot in the lineup, you got to get there. I wonder if it will be the same. I'm hoping to catch up with Darkwing. I haven't seen that boy in about 10 weeks now. Too long. These temperatures are not very summer-like, I must say. Okay, I'm going to make my way towards the Talamatis at last, and we're going to send you guys over to Tessa on a bumble.
Definitely a lion's kind of morning, everybody. So I have done a full triangle back towards Central Road, and we did not have any buffalo tracks crossing onto Vulture's Nest, nor did we have lion tracks. So somewhere in the middle of a triangle there might be some lions and some buffaloes, and it feels quite stumping almost in a sense, because it's a very small block, and to not see tracks coming out for both is strange, because if the lions have hunted, the buffalo would have run. There were no tracks, there was no fresh dung of buffaloes even, so I'm not sure if we may have missed something, or if maybe the action hasn't happened yet and the buffalo are sleeping at the moment and they haven't left the middle of this block. The lion's somewhere behind them. From the tracks it seems like we have two of the big five very close by, but with the thick block we just can't seem to find them. So I'm doing another loop. I'm repeating what I've just done. I'm doing Nyala Road South again to see if maybe there are any tracks that we missed, and then we'll go and check towards the drainage line itself and on the other side of the drainage line to see maybe we missed it and they crossed that way, maybe we missed something on here and they crossed back towards the other drainage line. And actually where the roads meet is where the drainage lines kind of converge together. Chelsea, it would be very interesting to see an interaction between the two prides. I know that traditionally, or historically I should say, this used to be in Kahuma territory. And then the Talamatis started kind of taking over. They had a bit of an overlap. It's a log, it's not a line. And now the Talamatis are more common here, and then Kahumas are further south. So it would be very interesting to see what happens if they do actually come together. And I'd love to see a side-by-side size comparison, because I know the Kahumas are actually related to the Birminghams, and they seem like very big lions, but it's also can be quite tough to try and get a size comparison when you're looking at prides that are in completely different areas. Okay, so this is exactly where the tracks cross off. Where I am at the moment, on my right hand side, there's a lot of very freshly flattened grass, and it's heading that way. And this is where the buffalo tracks cross, and this is where the lion tracks cross. And I'm wondering, where in the middle of this block might there be some lions? This is where the tracks leave the road. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time listening here. There are quite a few nice bird calls around, which we can appreciate as well. But usually if you've got lions on a kill or buffaloes around, you'll hear oxpeckers, you'll hear commotion between the lions, or between lions and hyenas, or between the lions and the buffaloes. Normally there's some form of interaction that you can hear. I thought I may have heard something there coming from the drainage line.
Lauren.
It's such a tense moment every time there's something like this, because we know that we are so close. And trying to put the puzzle pieces together at the moment, it's just so many different things happening at the same time. And the sound I thought I heard was actually coming from the drainage line on the other side of the road. It sounded like possibly a buffalo. I'm not sure what it is though. Alright, I'm going to carry on and see what I can find. Hopefully I'll manage to catch up with those lions soon.
We're just approaching the lions, everyone. We're navigating into a sighting, so you will have to just bear with us. You need to sort of slow your speed and just make sure that you don't get in the way of other vehicles. Oh, hello, lions. Hello. No, not with the shadow. Can you work with this for now? We'll reposition a little bit later, but there are other vehicles that have been here before us. Hello, Talamatis. It's been a while. Finally, I get to spend a morning with the lions. We made it. We are sitting on Triple M. I haven't done a full body count yet, and can you believe it? This is the main access road to the Sabi Sands. It's called Triple M. It stands for Mala Mala Main Access. So it extends way further south than what we can traverse, and it's used by everybody. Actually, you can't avoid using Triple M, and you've got to love that this is where the lions decide to lie for the day. If a food delivery truck or a fuel truck comes, I'm not going to be able to get very far, that's for sure. I don't see a big male lion. I don't think dark means here, which is a little bit sad. But I'm happy we're here. Malcolm, you're loving all of the lion sightings. Yes, it appears it's going to be a lion kind of day. But just a little bit north, I mean, not by much from where we are right now, as where Shadulu crossed. Just amazing to see all of these animals ebb and flow and sort of weave in and out of each other. I mean, the lions and leopards live sympatrically for about 91% of their geographic locations. But it's just amazing to think we were here yesterday with a completely different animal, and now we're here with the Talamatis. I haven't seen the Talamatis in quite some time. They're definitely our dominant pride now. They were not for a long time. It was always the Nkuhumas. But then slowly it became the Talamatis. They were always the pride that I never got to meet up in Buffelshoek. You only just heard about them on the radio. Talamatis. And then we got to meet them. I've had some fantastic sightings with this pride. We might not remain in the sighting the whole afternoon, the whole morning, sorry, because it's on Triple M. It'll get busy, but we'll try and spend as much time with them as we can. Kayla, I really can't see any bodies yet. I can see, I think, 2 young males. But my view is really, really blocked by the grass, and I don't have a monitor, so I can't see what you guys are seeing, which is really unfortunate. We rely heavily on that monitor. But I'm hoping that we can maybe push forward a little bit and give you a proper body cam. But I think I can see 2.
Mine is there.
Darkmane, oh see, Darkmane's completely blocked from my view. Apparently Darkmane's here. Darkmane, show yourself. I want to see you. I can just see grass. The one lying right there, is that Darkmane? Oh, it's beautiful grass thing, I must say. Apparently he's here, great news. The Madora. But just a reminder to you all that the Talamatis are part of the Genesis collection. You are welcome to hop onto our website and find out more about that collection. The Talamatis are also going through periods of change, which is natural. The other lionesses with the cubs, I've not seen them in a very, very long time. They don't seem to be pushing down into Djuma like they used to. There's definitely been a bit of a split. And when we saw the Talamatis at Sydney's Dam the other day, it was long distance visuals, it wasn't great. I was over the moon to see it was Darkmane. And Owen said, I think it's S8 male. I said, no, that's Darkmane. Because naturally half of the Talamatis are spending most of their time with the S8 male. And of course Darkmane's been spending a lot of time on his own from what I can gather at Pungwe camp. I'm talking about 2 weeks, if not more, which is a substantial amount of time. But of course he's now back with his gang. But I want to see him. So once this vehicle moves, we are going to go forward so we can get a good look at his face. Giving hand signals to Ali. Hold on. Hi. Hello. Oh, Darkmane, look at you. Look at you, boy. It's good to see you. Grayson, you're asking, will lions adopt cubs that are not theirs? That's a tricky question because they're not really going to come across cubs that are not part of the pride. So, I mean, it's not really going to be the case that the Talamatis are going to come across Nkuhuma cubs. But within the pride, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of a lion pride compared to a hyena clan because the females do alusako, which means that if cubs lost their mother within a pride, they'll still survive. They've got the protection of the pride. The lionesses will look after them, provide for them, and suckle them. So in terms of adoption, I don't know if that's what you were meaning, but another cub outside of their pride, no, not at all, not at all. Remember, it's all about the survival of your own bloodline. If they came across cubs out with their own pride, infanticide may in fact happen. But within a pride, absolutely, they all look after one another's offspring, and that's the absolute beauty of being in a pride. I think if I was to be any predator in the whole world, it's a toss-up between dogs and lions, because the beauty of being a female in a lion pride is very special, the bonds that they have. And they tolerate the boys. Darkmane gets tolerated. Okay, we're going to continue to sit here with our absolutely gorgeous Talamati pride. We're just sitting with our sleepy lions. I'm not sure they're going to do very much today. It's only going to get hotter, which means they will eventually seek shade. But it's such a beautiful scene, so we're just going to sit here and soak in every moment.
Located on some members of the Nkahuma Pride on Batalia Road, just north of the junction with Nyana Road.
I'm definitely going to stay here a little bit longer, although it is starting to get hot.
So we are still hot on the tracks of buffaloes, and we have got some pretty fresh buffalo dung where some flies have been landing recently. But fortunately for us, the lions are hot on the tracks as well. We have found the Nkahuma Pride from last night. It looks like we have some very lazy lions this morning, and unfortunately it doesn't look like they have eaten. Right at the back we've got Purple Eye. She's looking a little bit thin, but I'm very happy to see her keeping up with the pride so well. The last time I saw her, she was lagging behind. And then we've got some of these sub-adults in lionesses, and in total it looks like we've got 8 lions here. 2 of them are in the grass. Catherine, it's definitely a lion morning this morning. It's very exciting stuff. To see 3 different prides in the same morning is absolutely wonderful. So we're actually on Batalia Road, so it's just on the other side of the drainage line. The lions pulled a doozy on us and they turned around and they crossed over the drainage line. So I decided, let's come around and have a look here, just in case we have missed something and they have crossed in the other direction. And it looks like they certainly have. Leslie, lions can switch prides. The males in particular live that lifestyle where they would move between prides, but I think you're referring more to females and whether the lionesses might break off and join a different pride. It has happened before, and I'm sure it will happen again. It is most common that lionesses will stay with their pride, and every now and then the pride must break up if their numbers are getting too great and there's too many mouths to feed. But it has happened that a lioness here or there has broken off and then found other lions to get along with. because lionesses are more accepting of each other than male lions would be of each other, it's a lot easier for them to integrate into a different pride. Also bear in mind, a lot of the different prides in the area have very similar linkages or lineages, I should say. So there will be common lines between the Nkuhuma pride and the Talamati pride and the other prides from history. So from previous generations, you'll find the same males were there somewhere. And so with those linkages, it does make it a bit easier for them to join together. Oh, we are looking way too relaxed this morning. They haven't had that long of an evening, actually. It looks like they've been following the buffaloes. And from where I left them last night to where we are now is really not that far. It's maybe 3 kilometers, if that. So it sounds like a far distance to move, but for lions, they can move a lot further overnight. I think what likely happened was they were smelling the buffaloes, they followed them. Perhaps they were unsuccessful and they chased the buffaloes out of the area. Goodness gracious, girl, you're looking old. And now they've settled, waiting to find some more buffaloes later on. Celeste, they certainly do look like they need to make a kill sometime soon and find some food. Oh, Purple Eye, you are looking old, girl. You can see she's not really even squatting properly. Her joints are a bit sore from lying down. And she is looking quite thin. You can see quite a few of her bones. I want to have a look with binoculars. A lot of scarring on that face. Moving off into the thickets to get comfortable. Ah, there's one of the other ones that was lying in the grass. So we look like we might have some movement of everybody towards some of the comfortable grass at the moment, just to get a little bit more shelter as it gets warmer today. Oh, going to the bathroom first. And just a reminder that the Nkuhuma Pride is indeed part of the Genesis collection. So if you want to find out more, you can head over to the WildEarth website and look for the NFT tab. Amazing how when one moves, everybody starts to move. So they are quite lucky in the sense that this morning it is still nice and cool. There's a lot of cloud cover building up. And so they don't need to worry too much about moving today because they're not going to overheat. So if they need to move a far distance, they can still keep moving for a good few hours, I'm sure. But if they don't want to move, they can also stay right here and they don't have to worry about finding shade. So they've got the best of both situations at the moment. The possibilities are endless for them this morning. The sub-adults are looking really nice since the last time I saw them. Amazing. If we had come and done this road 15-20 minutes later than we did, we might have missed them because they're moving off the road. And they're moving into such thick grass that I actually can't even see the other lines anymore. Aardwolf, Blondie and Mohawk are the dominant males of this pride. They are actually in the same coalition as Dark Mane, the three of them together, and when they initially started moving through the area, they were the dominant males together of the Nkuhumas and the Talamatis. Now they seem to have split a little bit more, so now Dark Mane is more with the Talamatis, and Blondie and Mohawk would be the dominant males of the Nkuhumas. So they are the fathers of the most recent cubs. And so at the moment, they're probably somewhere further south from here. They've got a very large territory. And so the Nkuhumas are moving around without them for now. The last time I saw them, they were actually with the other 3 lionesses that had the 7 cubs. That's the last time I saw Blondie and Mohawk. So they fit into the puzzle as the dominant males, and they're part of the Avoca coalition with Darkmane. So it's quite an interesting puzzle because they've split, but they are still a coalition. Very strange. While I try and keep up with my lions, I'll send you over to Lauren with hers.
Can you honestly believe the lion kind of morning we're having? I'm just going to give you some context with the map, if that's okay, of where our lions are. So obviously this is Djuma, and we are on Triple Aim, just north above this little drainage dip. So we are about here, and Shadulu crossed in about here. Shadulu's long gone, but just to give you some idea. So Talamati's and Darkmane here, and then Tessa, who is fast turning into the lion girl, found the Nkuhumas somewhere here. Oh my goodness, what a fright. So it's not close, but it's also not terribly far. They are still technically on the same property. We have got one lioness who has her paw on Djuma, so we're going to classify it as Djuma rather than Arathusa. Isn't that just amazing, the movement? And as I mentioned earlier, the rest of the Talamatis are really, they've changed their movements. Although I would love to see them come onto Djuma with cubs. That's a personal wish. They absolutely will not. And that's because they've got to protect their cubs. Got to protect their cubs from Darkmane now. So they've shifted. They're now spending most of their time in the northern sector of Buffelshoek and Namanguleti. So I've personally never seen those cubs, I'm afraid. I cannot believe every feed has lions. And it just goes to show you, it's not that we intentionally plan it that way. It's just what happens. We have long drives of nothing as well. Some drives where we just look at insects. Some drives we spend at the hyena den. Ugh, Meg, that would depend on so many factors, and I guess it could be a dispute over a kill. One of the worst sightings I ever witnessed, and some of you will remember that. It was actually my sighting, and I got really unwell. So Pat, I'm sure some of you remember Patrick, came and took over from me because I really wasn't well enough to stay on drive. And it was just mayhem. It was actually a dead hippo in the Masai Mara, but the hippo was in one of the sort of rivers that was a tributary of the Mara River that sat right on the territorial boundary line of 2 prides. And oh my goodness, that fight was absolutely horrendous, and cubs died. We watched the cubs that I sat with and introduced them to you all, and we were getting ID shots to try and figure out who's who. Hours later, all those cubs that I had shown you were dead. And it was a marsh pride, the Kichwa males, I think. And I can't remember who the other pride was. But it was horrendous, and it all was over that hippo. I mean, a hippo's a big carcass, but that hippo was sat. It was a natural death right on the territorial boundary line, and it just caused absolute chaos between the 2 prides who came along, and naturally the males were there as well. Those males were residing over both prides, and they just stayed quiet. They didn't get involved, but cubs died, and it was a very upsetting sighting, to be honest. So in answer to your question, that's very complex. I don't think they would necessarily come and steal an impala. But obviously, if both prides were in the same area at the same time, it wouldn't be a joyous or happy encounter, especially if there was a big carcass, such as a buffalo or maybe even a zebra. Sorry, we were just watching an impala run across the road, and only one put his head up. Well done, boy. You did hear them. So that's an interesting question. It would just depend on so many factors, but the Prides are not friends. They've got massive history, but if it was a buffalo that sat right on their territorial boundary line, they may both fight over it. That may happen. I'm sure some of you will remember that Mara sighting. And it was during Kids Drive. It was during a Kids Drive. We used to do a first hour for kids. And that's when it happened. Wow. I have to say I felt very grateful that Pat took over from me because, yeah. And it really wasn't far away from our camp. Once you leave the Mara camp, you sort of got a bit of a journey. It's not like Juma where you just roll out. You've got a massive journey. But once you actually get into the park, it was right there. I miss Samara. Oh, I just love how these lions just laze on one another like this. I do think we are going to have to leave the Talamatis now. It's a busy sighting on Triple M. But we are going to bumble the reserve and see what else we can find.
We have managed to catch up with our lions again, and it seems like we are starting to relax a little bit and settle in the shade. The sun has broken through the clouds, and so everybody is looking for a nice sheltered spot to stay cool while they decide where they will move to next. It seems that Purple Eye is leading the movements this morning. And so slowly all the lions are starting to move and follow. Hello, sweet girl. I can actually hear the occasional little chuff from them. And actually, we're going to be stuck here for a while, Owen. They've all laid down behind us. So it seems the older lionesses are moving first, and then the sub-adults, one by one, are starting to get up and follow. And they're just, at the moment, moving from tree to tree, using the shade of the bush willows to keep cool. It is heating up very quickly, so I don't blame them for shade hopping a bit this morning. The clouds seem to have burned off from having a very relaxed morning where they didn't have to look for shade to all of a sudden being very, very hot. It's quite a difference. Oh, we're on our way back again. Yes, 3 in a row coming back to the shade. This grass is so long. Oh wow, listen to those sounds.
Welcome back to Eco Training Providence. We now just found a small group of giraffe bulls that are busy ruminating. And if you are not familiar with the term ruminating, it simply means that they're rechewing their cuts because they've got a complex four-chambered stomach. And the first of our stomach chambers acts like a gravity-specific chamber. And once it's full, the coarser materials start floating to the top, and that's rechewed and then swallowed for a second time. It goes through a canal that's known as a diverticulum into the second stomach chamber, which is known as a reticulum, and eventually a omasum and through the abomasum. This makes them incredibly effective in terms of digesting their food and getting the maximum amount of nutrients from their food. We also find that their stomach, although very small, has got like tiny little hair-like filaments on it, which actually increases the absorption area, further making them very effective in terms of digesting their food. It's also one of the reasons why when we do look at the dung of ruminants, that it's very compact and very fine-grained, unlike that of an elephant, which is pretty coarse-grained. And those we generally refer to as hindgut fermenters in the case of an elephant. And in the case of elephants, their digestive system is fairly poor, and they probably absorb only some 40% of what they feed on. I see one of our giraffes have now come to start feeding again. So one of the things that we did try and do this morning is actually going to see if we could find the second part of the Ngati Pride. Unfortunately, so far no luck. And we were also seeing if we could locate on the group of buffalo that was on Pridelands. And I'm very sure that the rest of that pride is after the buffalo. And if we can find them, we'll most likely be able to find the rest of the Ngati Pride. For the moment, let's just enjoy seeing what our giraffe is getting up to and listen to the different sounds in the background. Well, we're going to move on and go and see if we can maybe find our buffalo, but in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Tessa is up to.
We have got a lot of activity happening here between some of the sub-adults of the Nkuhumas. They seem to be having a bit of a disagreement while they're grooming each other. And the one is absolutely loving the attention. Have a look at that on the back, nice and relaxed, stretching out so that the other one can reach all of those difficult spots. But every now and then we're having a little bit of a growling contest there. You can see it starting. They're starting to get a bit cheeky with each other. I think because the weather's cooling off again. They're having some fun. And this is such special time for lions, when they can groom each other, when they can bond and play. This is how a coalition stays strong and how a pride stays together. And I have a feeling these young males, when they get big enough to become independent, are going to be quite a formidable coalition. Oh, shame, Purple, I got sat on. She got very unhappy very quickly. So So we're seeing quite a bit of interesting behavior. It looks as though a lot of the sub-adults are focusing on the bellies of the lionesses, very close to where you would normally suckle. And they're way too old to be doing that. And it seems to be frustrating the lionesses. We've seen it twice now where a sub-adult has been trying to do that. This lioness is just licking herself, but that made me think of it as she was turning like that. Demi, so the pride structure is a little bit different. There isn't necessarily one dominant female. If you have a very obvious age difference, so where you've got a much older lioness that's very big and strong still, she would naturally assume the role of deciding where the pride goes and the movements that they make. So she would then be more dominant. But if you're looking at a pride like, for example, the Birmingham Pride, where you've got a few lionesses all of similar ages, there are two that are older, two that are slightly younger, one that's much younger. In that situation, you'd have two more dominant lionesses. So it actually depends pride to pride. Their success doesn't rely on having a dominant female as well as dominant males, but it certainly will happen if the age gaps allow it. So in this pride, it seemed that as soon as Purple Eye got up and moved, the whole pride followed. Where the last time I saw her, it's an interesting change. The last time I saw her, she was struggling to keep up with the pride. Now it seems, because it's majority sub-adults with her, which are all very young, they're not even 3 years old yet, it seems that she is the dominant force here at the moment with the current composition of the Nkuhuma Pride. So as soon as she moved, the rest of the pride followed. So it will actually be different between different prides. Usually, though, if there is one older lioness, she would get to decide when they move. And that's also because, in this particular composition, because it is majority sub-adults and hardly any adults, they will do whatever the adults suggest. Oh, a little bit of grooming. The sub-adults are feeling very sociable today, it seems. So you can definitely see in this kind of situation, if we were driving past, we would have missed them completely on the road. If we had come 10, 15 minutes later on that road, we would have found their tracks, but not actually seen the lions. And because the grass is so long, if I was to stand in the grass at the moment, it would come almost up to my shoulders at some points. The reason we can actually see the lions fairly clearly is because they've flattened some of the grass by lying on it. That if I was to try and walk through here, some of the grass would easily come up to my shoulder height. And where I'm sitting at the moment, there's actually some grass that is taller than me. Have a look here. I've got grass behind me that is actually taller than me at the moment. So you can see how very easily we could actually miss the lions altogether. Mr. T, thank you so much for your question. So we actually have 4 sub-adult males, or there were 4 sub-adult males in the Nkuhuma Pride. I've only noticed 3 this morning, but we haven't had a very clear view of every lion, so I can't confirm if the 4th one is here. But I also do know that there were a few sub-adults, if I'm not mistaken, that did not make it. So at the moment, we can definitely see 3. Seems like 8 individuals here in total. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, one of the original male sub-adults was lost. He didn't make it. So there were 4 and now there are 3. Well, so we're going to stick around for a little bit longer and just see what happens. It does seem like we're having patches of playtime in between all of this napping, so hopefully we get to show you a little bit more.
We're just admiring the scenery. Just going to sit here for a moment and see if we can hear any sounds. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. You can see how lush it is. Blue skies. That's the wind picking up now. It's definitely not as hot as it has been. We're just going to make our way to quarantine, see if anything's happening up that side. Since lions are everywhere. Sometimes we tend to find, or at least we used to find, when there are many lions around, our leopard sightings are very scarce. We just don't tend to find leopards. It doesn't really mean that they run away and completely disappear, but we just struggle a little bit. That's just a natural way of the bush. But we are just going to head back to quarantine. This is where Indabelli and Swazi were hunting. It was incredible. They cause panic, just like dogs. They run, they're not trying to hide. They're not trying to sort of stalk and be stealthy like lions and leopards are. They are trying to cause mass panic. And they did. The wildebeest and impala were losing their mind. And it creates chaos, and then the lambs get confused and they panic and they go in the wrong direction. And that's naturally when the hyenas make their move. They do run fast. Chris Rogue, I believe you told me yesterday they run up to 40 kilometers per hour. I think that was right. So it's not the fastest animal in the bush, that's for sure, but it's fast. And the thing is, they can sustain it. Like dogs, they've got stamina. They don't get exhausted quickly. Whereas your cats and your cheetahs, they can run at remarkable speeds, but they can't sustain it for very long. They do get exhausted quickly. That's why herd life works to an extent, but for really, after a while, they panic, and those panicked individuals make the wrong decision. Oh, the wind's picking up again. I've had some of my best sightings on quarantine, even on foot. That's a really good area to check, and very often we check quarantine first thing in the morning, and somebody has to, and then you'll go to other areas of the reserve, and then when you come back you see tracks. We've missed this leopard. It's always worth coming back to and just checking. Gloria, my highlight of the day. Probably seeing the Talamatis. I haven't seen them in a while. And it was really, really sweet. One of the kids here, some of the staff bring their kids. We obviously get to know them and spend a lot of time with them. And they were just learning the names of the animals, and we came across the Talamatis with dark mane, and he said, "That's the tomatoes with the avocado." And it's so sweet, but I'll just never forget that. He called the Talamatis the tomatoes and the avoca male the avocado. So anytime I see the Talamatis, I just think of that, the tomatoes and the avocado. I think it's way better, but that's definitely been a highlight. It's a brief sighting, but it's busy down that way. On our boundary line, it's a real grey area, especially a main access road. They've really not chosen a good spot. Any property, you got the north wanting to see them, you got the east and the west. Everybody. Whereas something happens on Juma, it's only in the north. It's always worth just checking this western edge loop. Miss Tlalamba loves it there. We've had Shasha there. Tungana used to love it. Okay, that's me for the day, everyone. The next time you see Team Wendy, we will have Cedric on board. I haven't morphed into a male. It is, in fact, another individual called Cedric, and he will be doing his interview drive. But I shall be out this afternoon, and now we're going to send you over to Kelly on the jam cam.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning here from the dam cam on Juma, South Africa. It's just after 7:30. Thanks for joining us here this morning. I did get a report earlier this morning. I'm not sure if any of you guys out there saw it, but there seemed to be a second hippo that arrived in the dam. And I have seen two noses, and apparently there were some very interesting interactions between them earlier. I've been watching, I've seen two hippo noses, but not, oh, there's one. Let's see if that other one appears. So having hippos close together in these confined bodies of water. There we go. Okay, so there are two hippos here. Having two hippos in a confined space can sometimes cause some tension. Hippos are very territorial, especially the males. There we go. It's quite difficult to see. I'm going to assume one of these is probably a bull, the resident bull that lives here. And I'm not sure what's going on as to why they've been joined by a second animal. It could be another mobile male. It could be a female. I'm not sure. It's quite difficult to tell when you can just see nose, eyes and ears. But if there was some aggression earlier, to me it might suggest that it would be two males, but I'm not sure. So if anyone out there saw this interaction this morning, I would love an update. So first of all, I've been desperate to get back onto Damcam here and correct my mistake. A question from Aria. I called a female impala a doe. I've been having sleepless nights over this since. Female impalas are ewes. I don't know what stopped my brain working in that moment, but it's always good to go back and correct yourself. So I'm glad I've had the opportunity to do that. So thanks, Aria. You did a good job there if you're listening. Female impalas are not does, they are ewes. I'm watching these hippos carefully. The other question that came up from Jaden a couple of days ago, how many species of tortoise are there in South Africa? I managed to name 3, mostly from my areas of operation that I've worked in before, which is mostly the Lowveld and also in the northwest. I've since gone back and checked, there's actually 14 different species of tortoise in South Africa. I'm not going to list them all. Some of them are quite rare, quite endangered, especially the geometric. So, Jaden, I apologise for not giving you an update sooner. There are 14 species of tortoise in South Africa. These buffalo weavers are loud this morning. These red-billed buffalo weavers, these birds you can hear. I haven't actually checked in on our goosey family this morning. We need to do a head count. Where's our goosey's family? I'm going to find these Egyptian geese. We're going to have a family head count. Let's see if I can find them. I'm going to find these geese. Oh, and I'm going to do a nice head count. I'm hoping there's still 7. But for now, I'm going to pass over to Tess with her lions.
So we have still got some very well hidden Nkuhuma lions that are relaxing in the shade of the bush willow trees at the moment. It seems like everybody is very meshed together, but this is why you don't really want to be walking in areas with long grass unless you're very aware of your surroundings. You would not notice them until you were right on top of them. And it looks as though almost every lion is touching another lion. There's one of the sub-adult males. It's just turned over onto his back. I am very impressed by these sub-adults. As much as they are sleepy, they are really beautiful, and there have been so many interactions and little noises this morning. They're looking really healthy. You can actually just see a little tip of the pink nose there. That's so cute. Ah, there you can see it a bit better as he moved. It really is a lion's life this morning. So I'd imagine that these lions are actually going to be here for majority of the day now, unless they can hear buffaloes or something close by, then they might move. Brendan, it definitely is a very special moment. Apologies, everybody. We seem to be having a few technical difficulties, but we are back and we are with the very sleepy Nkuhuma Pride as the sun is just breaking through the clouds. You can see how it's highlighting that little bit of gold in their coats. Definitely one of the most endearing colors out here is that tawny glow. I think their day today is going to consist of following the shade of this bush willow. It's quite amazing, but the temperature differences between when the sun is out to when it's behind the clouds, it changes within seconds of the sun either coming out or going away, and the heat is intense when it comes out. So I think they really have chosen the perfect spot where they are at the moment. Nice breeze, soft grass, and some shade. What a beautiful morning spent with lions. I think one of the most relatable things about watching a pride of lions is how strong that family bond is. And it's so lovely to see them literally touching each other the whole way around that little horseshoe shape. The lions are all touching each other. How beautiful. So while we are watching them cuddling up to each other, let's just have a little listen to the birds around us, to the occasional sigh of the lions. And every now and then we're even hearing small interactions between some of the sub-adults. Let's just take it in for a minute. Some very comfortable and sleepy, snoozy looking lions today. very happy that we got to see them moving when we did. But this moment just feels so perfect with them, so relaxed. I actually don't want to make noise. I don't want to move. I just want to let them sleep peacefully. Really is so special to be able to watch these intimate moments from so close. They're literally just a few meters from the vehicle, and we're getting to sit here watching all of this as they snooze during the day today. What a life to be living.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve here in the world-renowned Sabi Sands in South Africa. My name is Cedric, and behind the camera is Gert. What a fantastic and exciting morning we've had so far. Lions all over the show, Nkuhuma Pride, the Telematis. So what a fantastic, and I'm so happy that Tess once again found her Nkuhuma Pride. If you guys got any questions or any comments, please feel free to throw us any comments on Twitter, #WildEarth. Or if you're on our website, just go to wildearth.tv. And of course, for the younger generation, anybody under the age of 18, please, we want to hear your comments and your questions. Go to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Well, I am so happy to be back in the northern Sabi Sands. I haven't been this side for 4 years. I used to work down here in 2010 to about 2017. So I was really fortunate enough to see leopards like Safari, Mafufanian, Mvula, Tandi, of course, that's my girlfriend. She's the most fantastic leopard. I've been following her for so many years. I've got so many stories all about her, and I was also one of the fortunate guides in this area to actually give two of her cubs' names. That was, of course, Bahuti and Wabahiza. Unfortunately, Bahuti did disappear, just over about a year old, and Wabahiza was taken by the Styx Pride, a lion pride. So I was very unfortunate enough that they actually didn't survive. That's why I think at the end of the day, most of the guides here think that I shouldn't name another cub due to the reason of my unfortunate events. But once again, let's take a look. I'm actually so keen to go down towards Treehouse Pan, or even to Twin Dams, because I know that I used to see her so often that side. And I know yesterday afternoon, Tessa had Heart, one of the female hyenas, running into a direction just from a lying position. All of a sudden got startled by something from the den site, ran into the southwestern direction into a block, and that's usually where the Tundi used to end up, that side. And I know that we also had tracks yesterday afternoon heading into that direction. So I'm just hoping maybe we might be fortunate enough that she ended up with a kill or something, and she went down to Twin Dams for a drink, and she might be lying around there somewhere, but you never know. Let's go take a look and see what we can find. Denny, I'm actually really hoping to see Tandi. I think that is one of my biggest missions, but then again, you must remember the vegetation, the bush has always got surprises for us. So sometimes I'm looking for something like a leopard. All of a sudden I could be bumping into something different, something more exciting. So every day has got some new events that's happening around here. And well, as I say, personally for myself, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Tandi again. I mean, that's one of my leopards that's always got a close spot to my heart. So yeah, let's see. If you guys are interested in seeing something, please send your questions, send your comments, and let's hear what you've got to say. But yeah, lovely area. What a beautiful day. So many lions happening this morning. I think this is just one of those mornings that a person cannot walk away from the screen at any given time, because you never know if you're going to bump into something. But fantastic work by Tessa, Lauren, and JB. Well, Neil, sure. I think Thandi has given me so many different experiences. But when the first thing I think about Thandi is just, she was like her mother, Karula. I found that she was this real kind of grumpy cat when you first find her in the morning or in the late afternoon. She would always have this real kind of grumpy look about her. I loved her because she's even that dark face, just like her sister, Shadow. Unfortunately, that's also missing at this point of time, or passed away. And I think it's just they've got that real grumpy feel and attitude about them. And there are successful leopards in hunting, but I do just love the attitude. That's the main thing about Thandi, Karula, Shadow, just that whole lineage. Fantastic females. Thanks, Neil. But I'm so glad to be joining you guys this side. I am so looking forward to it. It's as I said, it's my old hunting ground, this, and it's just even to see the nkuhumas last night. Same thing. Last time I saw nkuhumas was 2017. So yes, I have seen it on WildEarth. I have seen it on television, and I've seen them around there. But just to witness them again firsthand, in real, it's just been fantabulous. And I think I can't wait to pick up on it. The rest of I can't wait to see the rest of the animals that I've been missing for such a long time. But yeah, well, I'm going to head down to Treehouse. I'm going to let you guys go off to Kelly. She's on the dam cam.
Cedric, good luck down at Treehouse Pan. So I've managed to find our little family. I've been able to hear them, but I've been scanning for a while and I've just managed to find them. And we've still got 7. I'm not sure how many this female started with. I'm not sure if any of you can help me out there. There is quite a high mortality rate in, well, lots of baby everythings. But these little geese, her main method of defense would be to take these goslings into the water. Egyptian geese can lay up to 22 eggs in a clutch. That's a lot. That's a very high number. But I know over the years I've watched several families and they've started off with more than they've ended up with, shall we say. So one of her, obviously she can fly, but these little ones can't fly yet. So one of her main defenses would be to take them into the water. And I was actually watching yesterday, and there was quite a big monitor lizard scratching around, actually very close to this section of where the dam is. It was sort of just down from this rock on the left a little bit. And these water monitors, they will take these goslings. I'm not sure what this monitor lizard was actually up to. It was digging. They will feed on eggs. They weren't near this monitor yesterday, but it's great news that this little family is still 7. It's quite nice. They're quite still. It can be tricky to count these little fluffy heads. Ooh, especially if can we see? Yeah, there's 2 sat together. There we go, the 2 at the top, and then 1 underneath, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and they've all sat down. You can see they're preening. Even these young ones, they're mostly sort of fluffy down at the moment. But this female is having a good preen. It's very important for birds to keep their feathers in good condition. It's what they rely on. And they will be combing through these feathers. If you've ever picked up a feather, if you run your fingers down it, often feathers are shed, especially flight feathers in birds. And if you find a feather on the floor, you can do it at home. If you find a feather and if you run your fingers down the feather the wrong way, the feather will split but then you can almost zip the feather back together again. If you use your fingers, nature's very clever. You can almost zip the parts of that feather back together with your fingers. And that's what these birds have to do on a regular basis. They use preen oil that comes from a preen gland towards their back, and they will take some of this oil and stroke it through their feathers. That's what they're doing. They'll also sometimes dust bath to get rid of mites and ticks, but it's very important, just the way we need to shower and look after our skin. Birds have to look after their feathers. They will spend a lot of time preening, which is what our little goosey family is doing at the moment. So I'm glad we've still got 7. So let's have a look. I did just also spot both of these hippos. And they were quite close together. It seems a bit unusual. This time of year, there's lots of water. All the dams. Cedric was on his way to Treehouse Pans. Plenty of water in all of the pans here at the moment. There's even maybe not a couple of pans that might even hold a hippo. In the winter, it's much more common for hippos to bump heads because as water levels drop, there's less space for them. They can't spread out. So they have to relocate, and hippos can walk a long distance to find suitable bodies of water that they can claim. Oh, what's happening here? Lots of bubbles. I'm going to keep watching these hippos and see what develops. I'm trying to work out the dynamics here, so I'm going to carry on watching.
Alright, we're just going to come sit here at Twin Dams. I'm just going to take a look around here and listen to the sounds and see if we can pick up on anything. It's really a really beautiful morning. I think we've got a couple of male impalas lying down next to the waterhole, all very relaxed. As you can see, 3 older ones, 2 younger males. Just enjoying the coolness, pretty much in these little dips here close to the water edges, where it's a little bit cooler for them. And they've also got a better visual on anything, especially if it's a predator that's coming through or coming close towards them. You'll find that at least one is looking in the western direction, another one into those eastern, north, south, and so they've got all the directions covered. So they do feel very, very relaxed. Those are chewing on their cud, so they are ruminants, pretty much running with 4 stomach chambers. So of course the first stomach they kind of bring up the cud, and then they'll re-chew the cud. as you can see, very relaxed impalas. Definitely, there was no predator around here earlier. They would have been more alert. They would have been standing up and pretty much looking in the direction of where the danger was coming from. But at this point in time, they're just lying down, ruminating. Now, of course, the male slowly but surely is coming into the rutting season around about March, April side. So, of course, that's when the males will start really challenging each other to get a dominant one in those bachelor herds. So, of course, you've got all these males together like this. This is called a bachelor herd. And, of course, you've got the females together. It's more the breeding herd. With the bachelor herd, of course, you've got the two younger ones to the left of the three older males. Those two younger ones, definitely not this year, will be challenging for any dominance. But of course, the three older ones to the right of those two younger ones, they will definitely be challenging and try and get a dominant one between them. And once that does happen, you'll find that the dominant male that controls the harem, he'll hold that harem for some time until what happens, he'll start forgetting to feed. He'll be too busy chasing the females in his harem to keep them together, and as well he'll be too busy keeping other males out. And by doing so, he'll forget to feed, he'll forget to get his body physique much stronger and better condition. And then you'll find that these bachelor boys, they've been feeding all the time, they've been getting stronger, and once the dominant one from that bachelor feels that he's strong enough and dominant enough, he will go and challenge that dominant male of the harem. And usually it'll be kind of a swap over of males until they get the right timing on the rutting time or the breeding season. And that's usually the time of when the copulation happens, and that male that's the most dominant at that point in time will have the rights, mating with the females. But it's just so amazing how everything is so well worked together here in the Sabi Sands, and how all the animals function together and need one another. It's just incredible. I just love it. I'm just watching those Egyptian geese as well at the water edge as well. They're just kind of busy pruning their feathers, making sure that's all nice and fresh and clean for the day. And of course you got two blacksmith lapwings as well on the side, always hanging around the water edges. But while we sit here and just take a look and listen out for anything, let's go over to JP.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We managed to actually locate on our breeding herd of buffaloes that we were looking for. However, still no sign of a remainder of an Ngati pride. Hopefully, we will catch up with them at some point. We're going to sit and watch and see what they get up to. It was actually pretty interesting to watch their arrival at the waterhole, how excited they were when they came running down. And very soon, some of the younger buffalo in the group started chasing the impalas that also wanted to try and come and have a drink. And then also the giraffe. He is now unfortunately moved off and went to go and do something else, most likely having a little bit of a snack around the corner. But let's watch our buffalo while they're busy drinking and see what they get up to. At the same time, we can also just listen to the different bird sounds in the background. Good morning, Tay, and welcome to the show. Yes, it's been quite a while since we've actually managed to catch up with the bigger herds of buffalo. That's generally just smaller groups and individuals. However, I'm very sure this is the very same group that we managed to see last night, and where the Ngati Pride was actually showing some interest in them. They got upset, and eventually the Ngati Pride moved off away from them. I think because of all the youngsters that were with them, they rather decided to take the cubs away from harm's way, as that these buffalo can very quickly turn onto these little lion cubs. In the past, actually, I've seen how they actually very successfully defend themselves against lions, and where they've actually gorged at a lioness and flung her into the air, where she almost went 2 to 3 meters up into the air, and then they trampled her. I've also seen them chasing lions up into trees, but I've also over the years seen quite a few kills where lions have brought down buffalo. And it's almost always older or sick individuals that are falling behind, or cows that are pregnant that are falling behind. While we're watching our buffalo, let's go and see what Tessa is up to.
So we're definitely feeling a bit of the heat here as the sun is coming out, and what we actually noticed in the sun is right where the Nkuhuma Pride are lying, there are some blue carmelina flowers. How gorgeous is that color in the sunlight? It's a very unusual shade of blue, so it's one of the most noticeable flowers, especially in sunlight, when you are looking for different colors outside of the green. But we do have some very sleepy Nkuhumas. It seems like most are still very flat in the shade of the bush willow. 2 of them have gone so deep into the thicket on the right, underneath at the stem of the bush willow, that we actually can't really see them. But I've been doing a little bit of the maths and trying to work out between last night and today the sub-adult male dynamics. And I know that there were 6 sub-adult males initially, or 6 males initially out of this group. Purple Eye lost 1 male cub very early on, so there were 5 left. And then remember last year in July, one of the sub-adult males broke his leg. And as far as I'm aware, he has passed away as well. So we should have 4 sub-adult males here, and I thought I counted 4 last night. So it seems that they are just very well hidden. But absolutely beautiful. It sounds like Cedric is having some very good luck, so I'm going to send you over to him. It sounds like he has got some cubs.
Wow, look who we have here at the den site. Ribbon with the 2 cubs. Of course, the 1 cub is busy suckling. Well, as we got here, both the cubs were with Ribbon. Now one just went back to the den site. The other one's pretty much in a headlock. Ribbon's got her in a headlock there, but she's loving that milk that she's getting from her mother. But you can see she's very, very full. Of course, maybe definitely had something from last night. Or late yesterday afternoon. I know that she was full from late yesterday afternoon. But this is the furthest, or Lauren told me now that this is the furthest that these cubs have been from the den. It's not far. I mean, looking at about maybe 10 meters. But they've never crossed onto the road out of the vegetation. So it's absolutely just shows you they're gaining more confidence day by day, well, which is fantastic. It's starting to give us real amazing sightings. You can just see how they're busy trying to fight for those teats. Well, there's more than enough for them, but they still want to suckle from just the one teat. But that's typical in the hyena clan as well. You know, that's many times you'll find when it comes to certain things, they'll tend to kind of become a little bit more aggressive with each other, especially in the matriarchal system. Well, the matriarch, of course, gets pretty much preference on the nicest piece of meat, and of course, she gets the most calories. And that's why she becomes much bigger and much larger than the lower ranked females, and those, of course, the males. I love the hyena society. I think the hyena society, just the understanding of it, it just really makes things interesting. Yes, Harry, they are really cute. To me, they almost look like little bears when they still this black color. But they are absolutely amazing. I think it's one of the cutest babies that you do get in the animal kingdom to me. I'm sure for Lauren. I know definitely for Lauren. I won't second that. But other than that, yeah, they are beautiful little cubs. I think it's just those ears. Once they start turning into that tawny gold color, and the little spots start appearing, it gets even a little kind of more exciting and just more visually attractive. Looks like Ribbon wants to move over. The little cubs don't want to. Well, of course, they want Mom to lie down. They was still definitely interested in more milk. Well, they are moving quite far from the den. I'm just going to give them a bit of space and let them move with Ribbon and see what she does with them. Interesting. I'm going to see and give them a bit of space here, just in case they come back.
I don't think anyone can ignore these amazing bird sounds that are going on here. We've got some brown-headed parrots that have been sitting very close by for 10 or 15 minutes now. They're the only parrots that are found in this area. And I think they must be sitting in the tree above here, along with these red-billed buffalo weavers. That's the red-billed buffalo weavers. You can hear them. I can hear them fluttering around. I'd love to see them. They're quite small, little. There they go. So brown-headed parrots. They often sit in flocks or small groups. And they slowly climb their way around in trees, they'll feed on flowers, seeds, grains, shoots, sometimes larvae. And they've got a very distinctive sound. I'm not listening to the birds, but I'm watching these hippos. And I still can't work out what's happening here. I haven't seen any physical contact since I've been watching them. They've actually been quite peaceful. I've seen hippos fight before, and when they fight, they fight. They can cause huge amounts of damage. I've heard many stories of hippos actually killing each other. So I'm almost starting to think that this could be a female that's joined in this dam here, but I'm not too sure. I think the only way to work out is to keep watching, keep your eyes on the action.
So we are still just taking in some very sleepy Nkuhuma lions this morning. The cloud cover is definitely getting a lot thicker, and so you can see they're actually not in a patch of shade anymore. There's just no more sun. But I think what these lions are going to be doing the most of the day, or the most part of the day I should say, is following shade as the sun does peek out of the clouds every now and then. I know we are possibly expecting some rain later, and what that might mean for these lions is that they might have to move around a little bit in these thickets. So this afternoon I don't actually know if we will be able to come back and find them. We can definitely have one of us come and check, but they might actually move from here. The way that they're going is actually quite strange. It's different to what I expected. They've moved, instead of going south as I predicted, they've moved east back towards Cheetah Cut Line. So we are now in between the central part of the reserve and Cheetah Cut Line. And we are fairly far south. We're in the southeastern corner of Djuma. So if they do keep moving this way, I would think they might cross over towards Torchwood and then maybe back south towards Chitwa. And I am wondering where the lionesses are with these 7 young cubs. I know that Owen saw them last week, and we don't know where they've gone from here. But I should imagine that sometime fairly soon those cubs are getting old enough now that they might be introduced to the rest of the pride if they do decide to come back together, which I would expect. But it certainly doesn't look like any of these things that I'm pondering are even remotely close to the lions' minds at this point. They are just enjoying such a good snooze. They're sleeping so well at the moment that we haven't really seen any movement. And there you can just see a little bit of tawny through the grass. That's where the other 2 lions are, right in the dense thicket underneath that bush willow. So I do feel like at this point the lions are going to be very inactive the whole day, and hopefully with those buffalo tracks there might be a few buffaloes moving through again, and then maybe they might start moving in that direction again a bit later. Oh wow, the golden light coming through as the sun is peeking out is just catching on those ear tufts. You can also see there is a bit of a breeze, which is a lifesaver for us. Myself and Owen are actually sitting in the sun watching these lions. So we can understand why they don't want to move in the heat of the day, why they want to try and rest in the shade instead. So I think what we're actually going to do, I think we're going to leave these lions to sleep here for the day. We'll try and catch up with them a little bit later, and we're going to head back towards the cool shade of some of the drainage lines.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're still at Ndlovu Dam, where we're watching a whole big breeding herd of buffalo that was busy coming down for a drink. As they arrived at the water, they chased all the impalas away, including a giraffe. Now we've got an elephant that is on approach, and I wonder if he's going to give him some of their karma back. Quite often we do find that elephants will chase other species away from water holes, especially the more dominant bulls. And let's see what he gets up to. And in the meanwhile, let's enjoy the scenery, the animals, as well as all the different sounds in the background. Instead he's chasing the little blacksmith lapwings.
Well, we are now at Treehouse Pan. I'm just going to take a look if anything has come down to this area, because unfortunately we did lose Ribbon and the two cubs. I mean, she just moved away from that den site and she just headed straight into a drainage line north from where that den site was. Unfortunately, we could not follow her. But then I just took a look around a little bit carefully that side, and just to see why did she actually move those two cubs for the time being. We did pick up on fresh female leopard tracks pretty much coming through that area, and there was also fresh buffalo dung that was right there at the den site. I don't know if she felt a little bit pressurized there, maybe den site has been compromised. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm sure we will definitely follow up on the other den sites this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and just give them time to relax a bit. But now, of course, just coming through here, due to those leopard tracks that are going from Twin Dams, I just thought maybe come take a look at this waterhole as well. Maybe Tundi, of course. I just want to find her so badly. Or maybe she might have popped out here around this water area. Let's see if they can pick up on any tracks around here. But so far, it doesn't look too good. But it is heating up a little bit now, so I think I'm going to start looking for a little bit cooler areas to come, rest for the morning, maybe for the day. I'm waiting for the weather to cool down a bit, and then of course so I can move on again. But yes, no, the weather is definitely heating up, which is always lovely, because this is when your water holes really do well, especially with your elephants and buffalo and zebra all coming down for a good old drink before it gets too hot. But I just absolutely love, every dam has got a few male impalas hanging around the edges. Twin Dams and Treehouse Pan as well, so the dams are pretty much occupied with something around here. Once again as well on the water edges, as usual, always get the blacksmith lapwings. Oh, it's one of my favorite birds, the blacksmith lapwing, just the colors and the attitude of a blacksmith. But let's head to JP in Pridelands.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're still at Ndlovu Dam and enjoying our sighting of a breeding herd of buffalo and a single elephant bull that made its way in. Just like earlier, that the buffalo was chasing off impalas, the elephant eventually came to give some of that karma back to one of the buffalo, who was busy sitting in the mud and wallowing, and then chased him off. We thought that the elephant was going to wallow himself, but then started to move away. And meanwhile, let's see what they get up to and just listen to the different sounds of birds in the background. Good morning, Nadia, and welcome to the show. And it's absolutely a pleasure. It has been a phenomenal morning. We had some really great sightings on buffalo, as well as elephant and lion this morning. And it's always nice to see the big male lions as well as the cubs. There was also a number of other interesting animals we also seen. There's impala as well as zebra, and then some giraffes that were also on some of our segments. It's always great to find the larger animals, but it's also just as good to also sometimes just sit back and look at the smaller components. And if we can appreciate those smaller components which make up the ecosystem and plays equally important roles, that's when we really start appreciating the larger animals within the system. As everything eventually is interlinked and related to one another in some way. And it's so easy to topple over that balance between the small things as well as the large animals. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important for us to create a conservation message as well as to conserve a beautiful environment that we work in on a daily basis. We would like to thank all the viewers for joining us on their very own live African bush safari. It's been absolutely great morning out here, and I've enjoyed every little bit of it. We would love to see you back again this afternoon, and we'll see you at roughly 15:30 Central African time. Have an awesome morning.